Hello, my name is Dr. Sidney Freeman Jr., and this is Communiversity. This is an initiative to empower young Black adults to provide them with the skills and competencies so that they will be effective both in the marketplace and wherever they go. This program was envisioned by Minister Ronnie Vanderhorst and is sponsored by the North Pacific Union of Seventh-day Adventists. And we are so excited to have a wonderful guest, a friend with us today, Miss Tiffany Carter. She's a founder and director of Diversified Marketing and Consulting Group. Not only is she the founder and director of her own consulting brand, she's also a published author. She's a media personality, a serial entrepreneur, and we are so honored to have her to engage with us today. Of real importance, I've asked her to speak with me about kind of how you adult. As this program is focused on those between the ages of 18 and 24, we thought it was really important to have someone that both knows how to navigate a professional environment, but also understands how to engage the street. And so, because I know that she's been able to navigate both fluently, I thought that she would be the best person to have with us. So, with that, Tiffany, what's going on?
Hey, what's happening, Sydney? Thank you for having me.
Wes, listen, we are so excited to have you on this platform. There is no other person that I could ask to kind of talk about some of the things, the real things that we're going to talk about on today. So with that, it's been my experience that it's not always easy to create and maintain friendships as an adult. Uh, why is that the case in your opinion? And how do you kind of cultivate genuine relationships?
So I think that's a question that's kind of like forever going and forever exploring. But from what I know in my standpoint of experience of just creating solid friendships, because I know we've talked about it previously. I've talked about it with my other friends. My foundation of friendships have been 30 and 35 years. So
Mm-hmm.
when I go into the world as this other adult, because you're evolving to another person, I still go and say, what are the core things that I love about my friends? And I kind of use them as a rubric of, hey, in order, but one thing I know that's important, in order to gain a good friendship, you must become a good friend, but you
Yeah.
have to be a good friend to the right people. And just like people always bring out those red flags in relationships and all those things, everything is a relationship, business relationship, friendship, churchship, ship, meaning it should always be moving. Anytime that something is not growing you as a person, that is not a good friendship. And another thing that I read, I was on a college tour with my daughter at the University of Alabama, and the quote said, there's no need to ask for someone's loyalty when you value integrity, somewhere along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I thought about that. If I have integrity, I don't ask Sydney to vouch for me, and you understand, oh, I want you to be loyal to nonsense. And so I
Right.
think while we're adulting, it has to go back to like childhood.
Mm.
Birds of a feather do flock together. When I see
Mm-hmm.
successful people, I see successful people around them. When I see people that are failing at life, not that you're a failure, but failing at life, most people
Yeah.
around them are failing. So that is
Yeah.
like the chemistry of that's how you have to be good at paying attention, being observant, and have discernment while you're asking God to put these friendships in your path and relationships.
Well, I wanted to say congratulations again on your daughter graduating and headed off to college. That's really wonderful. And it's also, as you were talking, it made me think about tribes, right? And in particular, I've been thinking about the importance of identifying friend groups. So we just talked about more individual friendships and building those, but how do you kind of identify your tribe, the people that kind of connect and are going in the direction that you want to go, both professionally and socially?
Well, I'm really big in the community. So,
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I've noticed over the years as I mature, most people that are great for me to be around, we don't
Mm-hmm.
have to have everything because I am a very peculiar person. I am very spontaneous sometimes, but I can be so organized at times. So I love the authentic and genuine side of people. Like, I love who you are. Let me just
Mm-hmm.
explore who you are. But when you're going through just saying, how do I get my tribe? You have
Mm-hmm.
to have some similarities. So one of those things, since I'm a giver at heart, I want to be around giving people. I can't be around
Mm.
all takers because I'm gonna be drained there. You have to be, and
Yes.
my friends are very low maintenance. That's what people do not understand. Like, we do not have to talk every day nor every week. We pick up wherever we left off. But also, a thing, and I can only go by my friendship circle. My solid friends, I can see them, their parents, how they were raised. That was instilled in them. Like, it wasn't just Tiffany was trying to teach them a lesson. The lesson was already taught from their parenthood. So we have some similarities there. And the people that I get along the best with, it's just like it's just this vibe that you have. You don't have to prove anything to them. You don't have to
Yeah.
show them the titles. They don't have to know how much income. My friends don't know if
Yeah.
I have $5, $5,000, $1 million. They just believe it. I'm serious. They just believe in you. That's
Mm-hmm.
priceless. Like, that's priceless.
Yeah.
Not having to announce who you are, prove who you are. And that
Yeah.
feeling right there, I've created and duplicated that over and over again. No, it's not the same, but I want to be around people who celebrate me and not tolerate me. And so that's what I create on a daily level.
Well, with that, I'm just thinking about kind of the messiness of friendships and relationships, and it can be both family and friends. But you have sometimes where people you have used your influence to provide opportunities for those who are in your circle, and they drop the ball, and they drop the ball more than once. Can you talk about how you navigate those situations? Because a lot of us that are kind of moving up and being very intentional about being successful in whatever area of life we're in, when we lend our influence or lend our gifts and talents, when other people drop the ball on that, that can be
Mm.
frustrating.
Whew, you said something, a loaded statement there. Frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of had some situations last week, over the couple of weeks,
Mm-hmm.
with vendors. And these were
Mm-hmm.
like
Yes.
trusted vendors.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, am I too nice? Am I too It's
Yeah.
just, for me, it gets a point where if you're a business owner, even if I'm your friend, Sydney, whatever I say
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do, if I don't come and do that thing, I'm apologizing, because
Right.
Sydney is still an opportunity, right? I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times people look at who's carrying the opportunity versus the opportunity in itself. Like,
Right.
I keep seeing, like, even think about the opportunities that you've gained. I gained some
Mm-hmm.
of my greatest opportunity, not like just by not, I don't know what it all entails, but an opportunity isn't an opportunity if everyone sees it. And those people
Yes.
that continue to try to, drain your resources and they're not appreciative, you're going to have to let those people go because number one,
Yeah.
and these are real things that are happening to me as I build my brand, that I want to give so much that I had to learn when to stop giving to people who are not grateful. Because number
Mm,
one, how can
yes.
somebody actually be grateful? Because 9 times out of 10, now I'm about to get real with you, Sydney. Okay,
Let's go there.
nine
Let's go
nine
there.
times out of 10, Sydney, when they saw Sydney at the store, they didn't know Sydney probably can lead them to a scholarship. They didn't know
Yeah.
Sydney can probably give them a podcast interview. They just saw
Hmm.
Sydney as a person. And sometimes, just sometimes, God has to use you as the lesson to humble people because you really
Mm,
don't know who people are. I've been humbled in my
hmm.
younger days, stereotyping, not that I said nothing, but I probably thought it, you know. And I remember it was one lady I was canvassing. And the lady, she
Hmm.
really didn't look like she came from money. She didn't. I was
Right.
I was 20,
Uh-huh.
I was canvassing. I was young. But ended up buying every single book, Sydney, out of my bag.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
her son kept saying, "My daddy is a jockey. My daddy is a jockey." His daddy came up in this 7 Series BMW. I said, "Oh my God, you're." But she wasn't
Wow.
dressed the part. But the whole
Hmm.
time she was very, very, very calm. So
Wow.
sometimes the opportunity might not be wrapped in the gift that we think it should come in. So we
Hmm.
undervalue people. We and especially sometime in religious, we put this person above this person above this person. But to me, the most resourceful person is a person that can give opportunity not only to themselves, but open doors for others. See, that's the magic in life. So when you become an opportunity and a resource, I can see all the times people fumbling me teaches me not to fumble people. How about that? So
Right.
you can look at the
That's
glass halfway full. I learned
that's
lessons
it. That's
like,
it.
because people really don't be knowing, because you be humble about your journey, because you know it
Right.
goes up and down. It's no level
Yeah.
line. Nobody owns success. That's the reality
Yeah.
of it. So hey,
No, no, this is good because what I have experienced is that some people may feel like they can drop the ball because your reputation can take it, but it's like no, you are my name and my brand is such that I have excellence attached to that. So even if my brand can take a hit, it doesn't need to take a hit because you didn't do your part. I can do
right.
enough damage to my own brand if I want to do it myself. Not because you just say, oh, okay, I know Sydney. Sydney is doing all right in the perception, in their own perception. With that, thank you for that answer. With that, in my circles, there have been a recent debate about this notion of black excellence versus being average. Many are saying that black professionals don't have to be always 10 times better than other people. What are your thoughts about this notion of black excellence versus, listen, I listen, I can be average in some areas. Why do I always have to, be excellent every time I come out of the house?
Black people don't have to be 10 times excellent. They have to be 1,000 times excellent.
Ooh, I didn't know you were gonna go there.
They have to be a
Wow.
1,000 times excellent. Some days,
Wow.
I don't know what black fatigue means for anybody else, but
Hmm.
I've always been a top producer my whole sales career. Built
Hmm.
companies, million
Hmm.
dollar companies, continuously. And it seems like the more we do, the more we got to keep doing.
Yeah.
So it has me asking questions sometimes. I've talked to my friend groups like, what are we doing? Like what are we doing if we gotta keep doing more, keep doing more? I don't care if it's from writing the book, we gotta write 10 times more books. Do the business, we gotta do 10 times more business. or even a content creator. We got to do 10 minutes. You understand? It's just a cycle. So then you say, are we responsible for this cycle because you don't become, important until certain tiers? We probably are. But we always got to work. That's why when I see a honest, and I say honest, and I stand on honest, a honest
Mhm.
person, I give them a hand up. I ain't giving no hands out because ain't no, you're not gonna grow like that, because you're gonna have tough skin to be in this skin, right? That don't mean that
Mhm.
I have to pull the punishment on you, but I know that if I tell a young person behind me it's not gonna be hard, it absolutely is. Easy street doesn't exist, and if you look like me, it definitely don't exist for you, child. But it's worth getting every day that I fight. I'm fighting for my freedom every single day as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur. I'm fighting for my voice. I'm fighting for my children's voice. I am not an entrepreneur because commas continue to go behind it. I am an entrepreneur so that I can make a difference, not only for my bloodline, but for the bloodlines behind, so they can know that it's possible and it's doable. And only reason I knew that it was possible and it was doable because I had grandparents and great grandparents they did it through civil rights time. So is it 100 times? It's 1,000 times harder. It's 1,000, especially as an African American woman. It's 1,000 times. But guess what? I'm still doing it with God's help. So that's the positive.
So, so as you were saying there, it made me think about family and friends, right? Um, trying to do things at you're trying to do things at 100 and well 1,000%, but as you're trying to build your business, as you're trying to build your brand, how and you're trying to even build your family, build generational wealth, a lot of times there can be family members that don't see the vision. There can be good friends that don't support what you're doing in the ways in which you would like them to support. Could you talk about how you navigate kind of the frustration around family and close friends and loved ones not necessarily seeing the vision early on as you're trying to build?
So, sorry. So most definitely, a lot of times the people that you grew up with, they're not gonna believe in you like that. Some of
Mm.
them are, and I held on to the ones that did, but
Mhm.
majority of them didn't. Most people, they don't feed your dreams, and especially when you move from your hometown, they trying to figure
Yeah.
out how you did it, and you came from the same place they did with the same resources, like it's some kind of magic trick, and only thing it was consistency. So what I became is like creating my tribe, identifying those, and it was mostly strangers because I am not gonna go too deep in it, but most people who my dream benefits did not believe in the dream.
Woo! That's the truth.
They didn't believe
That's
in
the
it.
truth.
They were the ones that said, "Oh, you need to go do this. Oh, you need to go do this." But these are the things that's feeding us, you know.
Yeah.
So if I really wanted to place my dream, and then you got to realize, I've been a life insurance broker for 12 years,
Hmm.
the percentage of my business, and I've been a top producer in there for the whole time, the duration of my
Hmm.
business, of family and friends. Now I'm talking about an everyday topic that people obviously need. And what
Hmm.
I realized through the insurance industry, people want to ask you about the problem after you done gave them the
Hmm.
advice for the solution. You can't call Tiffany Carter for the fish fries when I told you years ago all you have to do is take $20 a month. So when you
Oh, I
give
get what you're
people
saying.
these
Hmm.
answers, be
Hmm.
safe and go and rest at night when the problem come back up, because you obviously solving a problem before it's time. They might not see it then. you can't get caught up in people problems when you had the answers and advice for solutions. So that's been my biggest takeaway, because I want to get consumed when people, oh my God, it's about to be a fire. I need Tiffany to throw out the fire. I tried to give you the water, sis. I tried to give you the hose before you got there, or brother, whoever.
Yeah.
And you can't pressure people in taking your advice. But guess what?
Yeah.
When they get into that bubble that you probably saw because you probably been already there, you
Hmm.
can't give them your ear there either. You have to say, I'm praying for you, and let God
Yeah.
do his job. Get out of the way of God. And that's what I would tell people. Let God do his job sometime with people. Sometimes we can stop the cycle that they absolutely need to go through, because everybody is not always there to help you. Sometimes God make you go through that thing alone, right or wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, well, to that point, I think it slides into another question that I've been thinking about. It's just, how to hold people accountable as an adult, whether it's family or friends or co-workers, and then holding yourself accountable. How do you do that as an adult, holding yourself accountable and others?
Well, first of all, as an entrepreneur, if you don't hold yourself accountable, you are not going to have any money. You're going to be broke,
Yeah.
okay? You have to get good, especially I've been in marketing with dealing with numbers for a long time. And one key thing that I tell companies, I train people on, get good in analyzing yourself. You don't have to wait for the company to report whatever they see. If you know you are struggling in an area, go and read that thing, go over that thing, hold yourself accountable. If you say you're going to do something, stay committed to that commitment. Because if you lack accountability, you can't teach accountability. And honestly, I do
That's true.
not hang around unaccountable adults, because
Yeah.
and I don't know, this is my opinion, they are some of the worst adults to hang around. It's just like
Yeah.
it's like children trapped in an adult body. You understand? If I'm teaching my kids to
Yes,
have
definitely.
accountability, it's hard going through life when you lack accountability. It's gonna be a hard life. You're never gonna fix anything because you don't think you're the problem.
Yeah. As you were talking about, um, kind of just navigating people and keeping them accountable. This I have another question on that same line, because me and some other people that I'm close to have experienced this recently, where we had were told by some individuals that they were going to do something, and they did not do it. They did not do it, and then you see them in person, and it's almost like they're gaslighting you in the fact that they don't even acknowledge it. So there's no apology, there's no anything. There's just like they just, it's almost like they wish that it went away without even engaging. How do you deal with, have you, first of all, I should ask, have you dealt with a situation like that? And if so, how did you navigate that?
Oh, absolutely. It's like God give me these lessons. I think He's trying to sharpen up our character skills. I call them their character 101, because those things, when you know people did you wrong and they didn't uphold,
Yes.
and then they disregard, they don't acknowledge. I think that bothers me so much. They used to bother me so much. But you know what it does to me today, Sydney? That speaks to me and tell me this is how I release myself from people that never gonna acknowledge it, number one. They're never gonna apologize, number two. That first shows me who that person is. That also
Yeah.
lets me know that they have not earned the position to be around me, because people who are around me are emotionally mature. They're accountable. So I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but those things you disregard, and then you can't introduce them to your network, because if they
Yeah.
disregard you, they're going to do that to your network, and that's so important. I told people, if you do not see value, do not introduce them to people, because you
Yes.
have to have some boundaries. You have to have an
Yes.
introductory into your network. You work hard for your network. No telling what you did for it. No telling what kind of connections. But we must guard these networks, not gatekeep. But the young people brought out gatekeep, because some of them, I say they brought out that word because so they won't have to work for nothing. No, ma'am. You can't get into every gate that you don't have a key to.
Ooh.
You
I
understand? And
agree
I
with
told my
I
daughter, said,
agree with
you're
that.
right. They want that, they're using the word, abusing it so that you can use what somebody else didn't work for. It's not gonna go like that in 2025. Because I seen people
Yeah.
that was just fluffing and gaslight for the last 3 years. Can they gaslight in 2025? That same thing they tried to do. That same little bitch you tried to pull. That same look. It ain't gonna work no more. Cause this is one of the years that you really gonna have to push genuine efforts of who you really are. So all the people that think you gatekeeping, they gonna get washed away. All the people that keep doing the same thing and they never switch and gotta be with the cliques and all these things. But
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, the person that stayed their path of genuineness, they gonna see something amazing happen to their brand this year.
Listen, I'm with that 1,000%. And that takes me to another question around mentoring. There's a lot of discussion about the importance of mentoring. I'm sure young adults hear that a lot, but it's been my experience that mentoring is only one component. The other component is getting people to want to sponsor you. And what I mean by sponsor is people that are in rooms that you don't have access to actually vouch for you and to say that that you would be good for an opportunity, and that's really a key component. So you can have all the mentoring in the world. People can kind of give you some guidance and coaching and things like that, but sometimes it takes a word of somebody else to open that door for you. Could you talk about the importance of that and positioning yourself for those types of opportunities where people would want to positively vouch for someone in a room that they are not having access to?
Well, I think you can see if a person qualified in the things that you ask them to do. And do they show up for it? Because it has to be a pre-audition. You want to make sure people showing
Mm-hmm.
up. But
Mm-hmm.
just like, say for instance, I had a podcast and you came years ago. You don't think I remember that? You understand what I'm saying? So now you have your show, right? The collaboration can go a long way, even in rooms. Say I have a speaking engagement. One thing people have to get good, if you see some of the top speakers, all they're doing is rotating like 4 or 5 speakers in a community.
Right.
Is it wrong?
Yes.
No, but you have to create your community, a community that is not just take, but it's give and take.
Yeah.
Hey, Sydney got a speaking job over here, but he saw another opportunity for Tiffany. Tiffany got to have a speaking job over here, but I see something for Linda. You understand? It has to keep flowing, and when you put it might be 5 or 6 people, but if you put
Mm-hmm.
people in rotation that they're going to do the same thing for each other, I promise you, it's just gonna create numbers. I'm a numbers person. It creates numbers.
Mm-hmm.
That effect, that cycle, and if you do that, even with content creators, mind you, I do a lot of work within TikTok or whatever. I don't want to say,
Mm-hmm.
but I do a lot of work within there. And in those classes, it's like, hey, buddy up, pen pal with other people that are doing some of the same things. Because if I'm promoting your stuff, you promoting my stuff, your audience see my stuff and your stuff. So if you continuously do that over and over, that's why I love TikTok, because it's for the person who loves to engage and give. It's not for the selfish person.
Right.
So, with that, if you create that community around yourself by you just being solid, having integrity, everything, it's not a matter of when your brand gonna grow. It's gonna grow. You just got to give it time and be consistent.
With that, we're about to round out our conversation. I think these are are great insights that will be helpful to people. We wanted to get insights to these young people, things that they're not going to get in a book, right? These are things that will be very practical for them to implement right now. With that, how does a person deal with delays? What I've learned, like even in my career, and some people think that I've moved fast. In some ways, I have, but there are in other ways there have been tremendous delays. How do you deal with delays in your business, delays in maybe your professional advancement and things like that? How do you stay motivated through some of those challenging times?
First and foremost, God, your daily devotional life, you're gonna have to stay, because those times where God just say sit still, and then now I have the evidence of what sitting still looks like. I have the evidence of what pausing. So I think you gotta stay consistent and focus more on your relationship with God so he can take that part of your story. A lot of times only way I'm able to give the good side of the story because I had to go through the process. So you have to trust the process. And if you're doing the right things and putting out the right things, just like my first book was delayed. It was delayed by 3 months, but it was about
Wow.
grief. And it came out at the beginning of the pandemic, talking about timing, about grief.
Right.
It was supposed to come out
Yeah.
December 2019, but it came out 2020. So these are the type of evidence when you just got to sit tight and know that God
Yeah.
knows what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? When you trust God and know that he knows what he's doing, you have to just get good and trust in the process. I mean, delays sometimes don't feel good, but they're very much necessary.
Yeah. So with that, are there any things that you would like to leave with our audience as far as any tips regarding as they're maturing as an adult, something that maybe that you wish someone had told you at 18, 19, as you were figuring out your way as a young leader?
That everything that I became at this age, I wanted to be at 7 or 8 years old.
Hmm.
So when God say, come to me as a child, this is my take on it. A lot of things adults get involved in children's mind and say, oh, you can't be this, oh, you can't be that. But every single thing I wanted to be at 7, I became at this look big old age. At I wanted to be the speaker. I wanted to be a writer, and I began writing when I was a little girl. Everything I wanted to be, I was already that. I just had to discover it. It was already everything that I ever needed in this life. You can go and thinking that it's inside of people, but it's right inside of you.
You.
I
Wow.
was the solution to my problems. God is the
Wow.
solution, but you have to be an active participant. God is not going to do more than you want him to do. He's a gentleman. Okay,
Yeah.
you gotta welcome him in. But one thing I would tell people, you don't have to have a silver spoon in your mouth. You don't have to have titles. But once you partner with God and you give your gift and say, God, I want this purpose to ring through, it's not gonna look like how you want it to look. But let go of the purpose and let him do the refining. Let him do the refining. And I promise you, you're not gonna fail there. Like my favorite scripture, she will not fail. I will not fail
Mm.
long as God is in front of me. So that's what I tell people. Everybody has something very, very special inside of them. If you didn't, God would have never made you. He said, I knew you before you was even born. I set you apart.
Mm.
And so that is not respective of one single person, but that's in a collective of all of us. Each of us are on our own journey and we tap in at different parts of our journey, but
Mhm.
everybody has a purpose to be tapped into. It's just about you unleashing yours. And that's what I have to say.
Wow. Well, Miss Carter, thank you so much for what you shared with us on this platform. I'm sure that people will be blessed by and are blessed by what you have shared today. with that, how can people get in contact with you if they wanted to find out more about your work and maybe even engage with you, ask you questions or whatever they need?
You absolutely can follow me. You can purchase some of my books. You also can have consultations for your brand to grow your brand, advertise sponsorships on www.realtiffanytalks.com. You can go and follow me on TikTok at Real Tiffany Talks, Tiffany S underscore Carter at IG. Also on Facebook at Tiffany S Carter. My first book, Broken 7 Steps to Healing While Grieving. I'm also on the radio, Envision Radio, on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. All over all over the world. All over the world. I'm in several countries. So that's live every Monday and Wednesday. Real Tiffany Talks, where real conversations continue to happen. And I'm inviting you to the conversation.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your willingness to be on this platform again, and want to thank the audience again for being with us. We look forward to seeing you next month with the rest of our programming. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Bye.